We have a naturopathic physician in the house, Dr. Beverly Yates. She is a diabetes expert. She has coined the Yates Protocol, which helps individuals with type 2 diabetes reverse it naturally. She is an international speaker, a thought leader, an author, a mama, a wife, all the things. Did I cover it, Doc?
You did. Thank you.
Welcome to the show. So for those that may be kind of new to our community, I am a health business marketer, and I have had my own experiences kind of failing in my own health business. And what I've done is I've taken a lot of my experiences and I've paired up with some other entrepreneurs as well who have had their own experiences where at times they just weren't thriving. They were trying to survive. And, a lot of us are on a mission to share our message to make sure other people don't go through the same bullshit that we did. So, Dr. Beverly, I've known you for quite a while. I've had an opportunity to see you, learn, grow, pivot, work on things. Why don't you just kind of tell us about your trajectory in natural medicine and diabetes reversal and all of that? Just talk to the people for a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for the invitation, Lauren. I've really been looking forward to our recording here. And I'm hopeful to be able to share some things that will resonate with your audience and that people will find helpful. My trajectory and backstory is, I think, pretty unique. I came to this work from the world of engineering, used to work at Silicon Valley as an electrical engineer from MIT. And people go, well, why did you change careers? Well, I find naturopathic medicine way more fulfilling. But in that journey, my goodness, a lot happened. I had challenges with my own health. And when I think about it, I also had challenges with my business's health. So let's dive into the business side. So on the business side of things, I originally started as having a bricks-and-mortar clinic, right, in person, in Portland, Oregon metro area, also in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, then back to Portland metro area. And then I started an online business back in 1999 to 2001, which was the first version of naturalhealthcare.com when I was in Seattle.
Yeah.
And my first book came out then, Heart Health for Black Women, A Natural Approach to Healing and Preventing Heart Disease. I had my first child then, like a lot of amazing firsts happened.
A lot of firsts, right?
I was giving birth on multiple fronts at that moment.
I
had raised money for a B2B and a B2C. Unfortunately, a lot of the .coms at that time, they just went a whole nother direction, right? And so we packaged ourselves up as a family, moved to Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area. We knew we wanted to raise our kids here. And eventually, I had another child, right? So now we got 2 kids. And so then as they were going on to preschool, kindergarten, I picked up and started up another clinic, a much bigger clinic than I'd had before here in the Northern California area. And that was going great. I had the honor to host and be the medical director for the founder and CEO of the first fully accredited integrative and naturopathic medicine residency in the state of California. Things were going great. Then the economy really shifted in 2008, 2009. And so I went from a thriving clinic, which had far exceeded any income and cash flow hopes I'd ever had for any clinic. It was going great.
You was popping. You was doing it back in 2008. Yeah.
We were firing on all thrusters, right? It was amazing. Then things really shifted. And in the space of 6 months, cash flow dropped by 90%. It was such a stunning reversal. People just got really tight. They weren't spending money on anything. And I talked to other health professionals and medical professionals in the area. And unless your business was 100% funded through insurance, everybody was feeling it. Folks cut way back on their expenditures. So at that point, I was like, well, overhead is overhead. It's a relentless beast, just like payroll. And so I made the decision to really consolidate and to move to a much smaller space. So then I was renting from another doctor's office, which was fine. That was the smart thing to do in terms of just being fiscally conservative and not put my family at undue risk, right? Because I still need to keep us housed, clothed, and fed. And with 2 little ones, nobody wants to be homeless. Like, that's just not...
that's not ideal, but
Understatement. I really feel when their world turns upside down and suddenly they're in that position. So things go forward, and I went to move to what I thought would be a better business fit in a larger city here in the area. And it was the wrong time to leave space from another doctor or to work as an associate, in this case, with another doctor. He was not really in a position or in the mindset to have other doctors join, even though he did. And, everybody really had a hard time What I didn't know about him personally at the time was that he was going through a rough, and I mean rough, like Hollywood rough kind of a divorce,
Ugh,
and he was just crushed. And I
ugh.
just feel like his heart was not in his business, etc. So as I realized the toll that was taking on many fronts, I was like, I can't be a part of this. It's just a bad guy,
Right, like, let me
right?
get out of here now. Because
Let me get up and
we
get out.
do sometimes think, like, it's so much easier if I'm not running my own business to work for somebody else, but if you working for somebody else and they turn out to be fucking crazy, like, now we gotta go back and run our own business, like, I'm unemployable at this point, so, no, I totally get that.
Life is like that. So sometimes you have to have multiple pivots. You might feel like you're a revolving door for a minute. That's all right. Hang in there. So from there, I reconfigured, I leased space from another doc, and that worked out well.
Mhm.
And it settled. Then a time goes by, and then the pandemic hits. And I'm still leasing that space, but we're not in person. And because the people that I serve for the most part have diabetes, they have heart disease, they have inflammatory problems, they have sleep apnea, they may have issues with their weight, etc. Who did the pandemic, that coronavirus, come for? People with diabetes, people
Oh,
with heart
yeah.
disease. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you heard that nonstop, right? So I
Mhm.
felt that it was just safer to then pivot to be a telehealth clinic.
Ooh, the great pivot.
The
So we
great
done
pivot.
closed down shop. Now I know a lot of my audience and actually a lot of my clients are folks are physicians that burned out, are ready to change, and baby, they be closing them doors quick and going to the great world of online digital marketing, which you probably didn't know that's what you signed up for when you said, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to online, but continue. So we're
Yeah.
2020 now. We done closed the practice twice, worked for somebody, moved our kids, moved locations. You had your own smaller now brick and mortar in Santa Barbara, in that area?
No,
Um,
in Marin County, just north of San Francisco, across the
us
Golden Gate Bridge.
north of San Francisco, and now COVID.
Right, right. So
Okay, so
Oakland,
continue.
I'm up this way. So then COVID hits, and then I'm realizing, oh boy, not sure when it's going to make sense for these people to be in person.
Mhm,
So let's go to this. And as to your point, Lauren, not really knowing or having the business understanding that this is now online digital marketing to promote a telehealth business, very different than bricks and mortar. So not only had I
mhm.
lost from, say, in the 1990s and 2000s, because I'm an OG, right? 30 plus years clinical experience, lost the yellow pages. Like, what is that even? Most people don't even know of a certain age. They're like, what's a yellow page? Like, why would
Right,
anyone care, right?
right.
Word of mouth referrals, etc. Online businesses are a very different beast because the referral thing does not work like it does with those warm, lovely referrals you get from
Mhm.
person to person in your own community. You may not be running into your patients, your clients in the supermarket, or at the farmer's market, or at the drugstore, wherever it might be you are in the community. And it's a completely different thing. And that's where, because of the effects of the pandemic, I began to be really bold. And I had that vision of helping at least 3 million people reverse type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. To get those kinds of numbers means you have to really pivot 100% and commit to the online marketing and promotions game, which is a completely different beast. None of us
Completely.
learned this in any kind of medical school. None of us.
It is so different, like, for you I don't know why it's so different when you don't have a physical address. But it's like something switches in terms of the conversation style, the messaging, the content. And this whole like content creating thing, meaning using content to grow your business, that's on the rise. I think in 2020, we were kind of still figuring out like, how to blend. I don't want to be a TikTok dancer versus like really just, doing stuff to grow your practice. So that had to have been I feel like we met around that time
We did.
where you were basically testing and trying to like, "Okay, I have this plane. How can I make it fly?" And that's when you decided to take the Yates Protocol virtual, right?
Right.
So tell us about how you tried to crank this engine up.
Okay. So how I tried to crank the engine was I was attempting to build the engine while flying, or build the plane while flying it. We need to back
Mhm.
up just a little bit in time. In the mid 2010s, like 2015, 2016, this was shortly after my mother passed in 2014, I had put together some online diabetes blood sugar challenges and Facebook groups and quizzes, and I was driving paid ads to them. Here's the thing. The people I was working with then and getting advice from business, I really wish I could get every dollar back because it was a complete waste of money. Talk about pissing money up a rope.
But
That's
you learned.
exactly
Don't
what.
say that. You
No,
learned.
that was a ridiculously expensive education. I'm sorry, no. I feel like ethically, they should have said that
This
they
ain't gonna
didn't
work.
know how
Yeah.
to they couldn't make it work. They didn't know how to grow a business, right? Who gives anybody the advice if they say they're great at lead gen and marketing and promotions to put something together that has absolutely no paid offer on the other end at any
Right.
point?
Right. I
That's
know.
irresponsible.
I know. But hey, you know what? You learned that lesson years ago, girl. Last year I did a whole podcast that had no call to action, had no reason whatsoever, just out here just talking. So, marketers aren't perfect. We make mistakes. Be
And
kind.
your brethren. Okay.
Be kind. No, I know. You were very jaded though, by your experiences with
Yeah,
agencies,
definitely.
but that's part of the learning and testing process when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to evolve, and you don't have this is you getting your MBA, so to speak, in online marketing, and you're paying for this learning
Right.
lesson. So
Right.
you were investing in ads, investing in all these like funnels and stuff, and that was like 2020. So sorry. So jump back in.
Yeah, yeah. So
How did
that's
that
like
evolve?
2015, 2016. And what I noticed, what I took back from that whole experience was that the things that actually worked were the things that I did. Anything that I'd hired other people to do, whether it was copywriters, create ads, it didn't do anything. The ads I created, the copy I wrote was what actually converted. So I had people do a challenge and go into a free Facebook group. And that was the seeds of the beginnings of a community and gave me that idea. Now, what's working in this era for me is my YouTube channel. That is going great. And I feel like
Mhm.
it's because there I can be that teacher. In naturopathic medicine, we have 7 core tenets, one of which is docere, a Latin word that means doctor. The word doctor in Latin means to teach. And that's what
Mhm.
I'm doing on YouTube. I'm teaching. The comments are so gratifying. There are no trolls. It's just a wonderful platform for me. Because you're right. I don't want to be just dancing and wiggling my ass. When people are
Well, I mean,
dying,
we
I don't
like to
need,
wiggle a little bit, but
well, in a
not for
party,
Instagram, not
I
for
can
Instagram.
party, right? We can
We
all
can.
party.
But wait. So before you get into what work is, because you blazed by 4 years of you literally testing between summits and different funnel types and using master classes and webinars, like you've definitely fought the good fight. So, kind of tell us some of the things that you tested over the years that, you would recommend or maybe recommend a different approach, and then kind of get into what you're doing with YouTube.
Okay. So during that time, 2020 to now, 2024, the things that I tried were, again, going back in and trying to rebuild an audience. And this time with an idea of figuring out what would be sales that could convert so I could really reach
Mhm.
people and help them. Because diabetes, heart disease, things like that are deadly. These are not minor problems in health.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
serious. And I think that's one of the reasons why, for me, I didn't personally feel like it was an integrity or resonance to just be wiggling my ass on TikTok. I was like, people love entertainment and good for them. God bless them. It has its place. But I personally feel a complete disconnect as a
Yeah.
professional there. That's not me.
Yeah.
Other people want to do it, good for them. So
Yeah.
with that, I tried, I was on other people's podcasts. I was a guest. I really got my courage together. And in 2022, what I did was I created my first summit. I was the host for my first online summit. And I couldn't help but notice in the summit space, it is very white. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it keeps a lot of people out who look like me and you because we don't see us reflected. And being visible and being there is important because I can't tell you how many people behind the scenes would reach out to me as I appeared podcast and then as I created my own summit and hosted it. They were so glad to see that because they don't feel particularly connected or some of the experiences people talk about, they just don't feel like their experience is being honored or reflected or included. So in that, I've done now 3 online summits and I will probably do a 4th one as my next book comes out. So part of this was making relationships with other health professionals and colleagues, medical
Yep.
professionals,
Yep.
getting out in the world, meeting and greeting, and being able to be in position, to have a book deal with the largest publisher in the world, having a fantastic literary agency, Park Fine,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
All of those connections, having other people behind the scenes be allies and cheerleaders and door openers rather
Yeah.
than door closers or door hiders. Door
Yeah.
hiders are the ones who never ever let you know they could be helpful. And door closers are the ones who are like, oh, hell no, I am never going to be helpful to you for whatever reason.
Right. Right.
Right.
We don't
So
hang out with those people. We don't know
we
nothing about
don't.
those
They
people.
do reveal themselves. When people show
Mhm.
you who they are, Believe them.
Believe them. That's a lot of stamina, doc, between and a lot of different, different lead sources and things you tested. So summit. So for the audience, the part of our audience that doesn't maybe understand what a summit is, it can be in person or it can be virtual, but there are organizations that have these online multi-day educational summits that are basically delivered in a pre-recorded fashion. It's meant to grow your email list, it's meant to try to sell your products. It is a heavy lift though, right? So it's 30 interviews and you gotta use your network, but what would you say for you, what has been the best part of, figuring out the summit? Like, do you feel like you found your stride to where you can continue to make them profitable and, get your audience out there?
Yeah. I feel like, in terms of audience growth and the things that go with audience growth and lead gen, I think it's been really a great thing, and I'm glad I've done it. It absolutely led to the book deal. The book deal would not have happened without that very clear, tangible, measurable audience growth year over year from summit to
Mhm,
summit to summit.
mhm.
My next summit that I'll do, most likely I will host it for a number of reasons. And that's, again, part of the business growth. Just like you're saying, working for others versus working for yourself.
Sure.
Owning the intellectual property, who owns it, right? Who has the rights? Who can repurpose that content, et cetera.
Yep,
So
yep.
all of that's a growth. And so this next summit then will be lead gen with pre-orders for my upcoming book that'll be released in late January of 2026. So it's more than a
Yeah.
year from now, and I'm planning already and working towards that moment because I want to be absolutely sure that that's a massive success. Remember, my mission is to help 3 million or more
3,000,000.
people. It's a big mission, but here's the good news. Um, I'm at the right place, right time. I am in business and spiritual and mental shape for that. And the sad news is that so many more people need the help than when I even first thought of this,
Oh, I know, right? So, like,
right?
the sizable audience has grown.
Has grown.
Right.
It's shocking. But what we're going
Yeah.
to turn that around. Yourself and other people who are working with me are up front or behind the scenes. We are going to turn it around because we have to. We can't have it be that more than half the population is sick with some kind of blood sugar illness. We just can't have that.
Yeah, and, like, I think that when you're a mission-driven, practitioner, like most are, we have a few that think of money first, but most of you all are very, very heart-centered and mission-driven individuals, and when you actually kind of sit back and look at your big picture vision for what you want in your business and your legacy, a lot of times that's outside of the brick and mortar. That is going to a much wider audience. So, what do you have to unlock in yourself so you can be the vessel that you need to be to get the message out there? And
Right.
so I've been, supporting Dr. Beverly from the sidelines, just kind of cheering her on from the sidelines because she's been doing her thing. Keep plowing through. A lot of people when they have a marketing campaign or something that fails, they're just like they quit or they pivot or they say it's a bad idea or they start investing in the wrong things. And I think what I can appreciate about you is that you continue to go move forward because you have the mission. You're very mission led.
Yeah.
So we've done our first summit. I know that was, that wasn't your favorite. The second summit, it got better, more sponsors. Third summit, that was just this year, right?
Yes, that was earlier in May, and that one I had a co-host with, which was a different vibe to do it. So I
Yep.
had maybe about half the recordings to do. So instead of having the responsibility of being host for 35 to 40 sessions, it was more like 20 to 22. And again, that's just a different thing. And this time around, for the next one, having learned now from 3 of these, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like this will probably be the best, the most amazing. And I have some ideas around how to really get that messaging tight and consistent and to continue to invite people in and be inclusive that are often, even though they are the ones more likely to have the problem, they are just not well represented. We really got to close those
Yeah.
gaps. It's not right. We got to do better.
Yep, yep, yep. And that's why we're always talking about our practitioner of color initiatives and
Yeah.
ways to get you seen. Like, so people can actually hear, oh my God, there is an alternative to medications and things for, getting this beaties, that sugar out of the blood. So let's kind of like jump into some of the marketing stuff, like the YouTube. So we've evolved into YouTube, and I know you're a fairly new YouTuber and you have found your stride. So what was that exploration process like for you? And what are some hacks you have for folks that maybe think YouTube is where they should play. Like, what's kind of your advice there?
Yeah, so my advice is just like Lauren is saying here and sharing because she knows more of my background, don't give up. You got to be willing to be flexible and find what feeds your soul and where it is your audience wants to engage with you, because that's been all the difference. Rather than it having to be looky-loos or trolls or just dumb stuff that goes on. The thing I've noticed with YouTube, people really are there on Google things because they're looking for answers. They're looking for solutions. They're looking for inspiration. And in there, one of the differences is when I initially had that YouTube channel, again, being an OG, this was back in 2012, 2013, I ended my last podcast upload, I think it was in early 2014, just before my mom passed, was a prior niche of mine, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Yep.
And I was just flattened at the death of my mother. I'm an only child. So it just really hit me. And, I was just so sad to lose her. And I did have a chance to care for her and give back some of that love that she has certainly poured into me in her final year. And in that moment, I was also called by Hollywood. Like it was just a wild moment. You talk about emotional elasticity, the
Yeah.
highs and the lows at the exact same time. I was like, oh my God, this is brutal. Right? It's just
Right.
hard.
Everything's just happening at once.
So I picked up that old channel and I was like, okay, here's the reality. Many of the women who struggle with polycystic ovarian syndrome, because insulin resistance is a key issue that underpins it, they unfortunately become type 2 diabetics. Why don't I take that same initial audience, even though it's a decade old, and just restart it, restart the engine? Let's see what
Mhm.
happens. Well, sure enough,
Mhm.
that turned out to be strategically a good thing. So rather than just start from scratch, which would have been fine as well, I
Mhm.
decided to then change the content and focus in on type 2 diabetes, fixing your blood sugar, pre-diabetes, type 3 diabetes, which is Alzheimer's, right? Things like that. And from there, because I'd already done that audience building work, right, with the prior summits, with having some help behind the scenes with social media. So now people are seeing me consistently on a Facebook page, on Instagram, on TikTok, a little bit on LinkedIn. Still working on that.
You know you
But
need
they
to be
see
on
me.
LinkedIn. You know you need to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn over TikTok, girl.
I hear you. I'm working on. I'm getting there.
Yeah, and you could use but for LinkedIn too, you can, do the long form video that you're doing on YouTube. That would go really, really nicely on LinkedIn. Because for
That's good to
everybody,
know. All
folks
right.
on like, when folks are on LinkedIn, they really are learning. It's like it's a social platform, but it's, professional.
It's
And
professional. No
on
troll
Insta
behavior.
Right, there's no trolls on Inst unless you're being, like, controversial, but on Instagram, that's more entertainment, and, for YouTube/Instagram, people wanna know how to do stuff. So, girl, get your butt on LinkedIn and off of TikTok. So, anyway,
Yes, ma'am.
so YouTube, how did you know YouTube was your happy place?
Well, I started posting videos there, and even though this year has had its challenges, its ups and downs, it's had its joys. The thing I noticed was the engagement was beautiful. It was right away. People were giving me great feedback on my videos, and if you look at the comments on here for the videos that are posted this year, especially the most commonly viewed ones, right now I have 3 or 4 bangers up there. You can see the warmth. People are like, "Thank you, Dr. Yates." It's like, "God bless you. I appreciate you. I learned something from you I didn't hear anywhere else." That I mean, so that feeds me because I'm human, right? I want to know I'm not just yelling into a void. Rather, I'm having a conversation and I'm trying to teach people or share with them things that are not obvious or things that maybe they knew but weren't so sure about, or the things that
Right,
are maybe controversial. But I'm doing it in a way to show people where there's value, because sometimes there's a reason why something's controversial. It doesn't
sure,
make it bad.
sure,
So
sure,
that
like
is what's cool.
and I think too, what with YouTube, there's so many ways to optimize a page better than you could ever do with Instagram, better than you could ever. It's like your own little mini website, kinda.
Yeah,
Where people are
yeah.
Googling, 'cause YouTube is Google, and they found you
Yep,
and,
yep.
and they're learning how to do stuff. So now, like, what's your marketing strategy within YouTube that we can all learn from?
So what you can learn from specifically for YouTube is that of all the social media platforms, my understanding, and I've looked at these things, I agree about this, it's got the best data and analytics. So it speaks to my engineering, my math science soul. It's
Mhm.
numbers. It's just like looking at CGMs, right? Continuous glucose monitors. When you look at what your blood sugar data has to say, then you don't have to wonder what the hell's going on with your blood sugar. You'll find
Mhm.
out if that salad you ate was as good for you as you thought, as you put all that honey mustard syrupy dressing on there. It could turn out that was terrible. Even though it was full of leafy greens, you killed it with the dressing. You know?
Right, right,
Right?
right.
Or it might have been fine. Maybe you love that honey mustard dressing and it's actually not a problem. You've got to test, don't guess. Without data, how do you know? So the things to learn, friends, if you go onto YouTube, you got to make friends with their studio app. YouTube has a studio app where all your data and analytics resides, and you can go and see by breakdown what parts of the world are engaging with your content, gender, what's the best
Yeah.
time of day to
Yep.
upload?
Yep. Yep.
Where are your people? Are they watching you on a tiny phone? Or are they watching you on their TV? Because some of them are going to watch you on YouTube on their living room TV. And when I saw that like 54% of my audience regularly, particularly the subscribers, watches me in their living room TV, I'm like, oh, I'm in their home. Oh, now we're comfortable. That's a
Yeah.
completely different invitation and engagement.
That's so good.
Right? That was
And
cool to know because now I know they're actually paying attention. They're sitting there in their recliner. They got their water, they got their feet up. I'm like, okay, we can really vibe. We can really connect. So that was my
that's
big
so
win so far. And I'm going to use that now to do targeted ads back to my offers because I feel like once people are warm and engaged, they understand my point of view. They realize that I'm sharing with them the things about nutrition, meal timing, stress,
yeah.
sleep, exercise, especially strength training, right?
All of it. All of it. Yes.
I'm on their side. They get it, I'm not shaming, I'm not blaming, and I'm not judging because I feel like people make way too many assumptions about people who have diabetes. And a lot of
Yeah.
these people's backstories, they didn't wake up in the morning saying, how can I screw up my health today? Oh, hell no, that's not right. That's so disrespectful. At least listen and find out what people's journey has been like.
This is so good, Dr. Beverly. All right. So you've been through all this whole transition in medicine for you, for
Yeah.
yourself. And we've landed here now at your second book coming out. We are no longer, doing the brick and mortar because you're finding your stride with your virtual programs. You've hit viral status on YouTube a couple of times. So
Yep.
now we get a little monetized a little bit.
And we
Um,
monetized. That was the other thing. It only took a month to go to monetization. That's amazing. So now they keep
yeah.
paying me,
Um,
which helps fund the rest of the work. I am so happy about that. That's a big win. Thank you for reminding me about that part. That's right.
yeah, I was gonna say, girl, we never forget the money, honey.
No, we
Unless
don't.
she's making so much on YouTube now, she just forgot about it. But yeah, it's just, I love seeing the growth. And I think even though our show, we talk about pitfalls and rock bottom moments and, business close and things like that. But the point is to talk about how we come out of that.
Right.
And what Dr. Beverly has shown us, especially for practitioners who are been 20 years in, 30 years in, and trying to figure out, what's your next step. Or if you're new and you failed at 3 or 4 marketing campaigns, whatever it is, it could be a hybrid of both. Keep going. Dr. Beverly, what's the last little bit of advice you have for our practitioners out here?
Have as high a standards for the business people you work with as you have for yourself as you engage with your patients and clients. Make sure they have the receipts. Make sure they can actually prove they've been successful with whatever it is you are trying to accomplish. If they are ever, here's a major red flag, friends. If they ever hesitate to give you references, click leave on the Zoom button. Bye. Bye.
I know that's right. I know that's right. But to protect yourself, don't be afraid to try. Keep testing, keep pushing, keep marketing, keep growing. Dr. Beverly, where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me. You can send me an email. Let's do this. info at dr, like the abbreviation for doctor, Beverly Yates.
Y'all got
And
it.
if you go there and if you're interested in help with diabetes, you can apply to work with me there and keep an eye on things. You can hang out on my YouTube channel. Would love to see you there. Please like, subscribe, and share because that's how YouTube works.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly how it works. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm looking to rebuild my naturalhealthcare.com website. So it is a strong, completely functional and working online diabetes care telehealth platform. We're going to put it back together, right, Lauren?
Yes. Oh, yes. I guess she's looking at me like, yes, we are. I see. Yes, ma'am. So thank you so much for your time and your energy today, Dr. Beverly. We love learning from you and everybody out there, that she's just an example of what it truly means to persevere in your business. When you know you have a mission, you keep going. I am Lauren Powers, health business marketing expert. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and follow this podcast everywhere the podcasts are available and on YouTube. We will see you next time. Peace. Hey, y'all, thanks for tuning in to Power Moves Health Marketing Podcast. If you're ready to transform your practice with smarter strategies and cutting-edge tools, I want you to head over to microsite.com to book a strategy session with me and my team. While you're there, check out the show notes for links, resources, and my free Power Moves playbook. Remember, every move you make is a step toward becoming the health business leader you're meant to be. Let's keep building your momentum.